everyone. This is Dr. Russ Jones.
And Brad Kennan here.
We are wide open. How are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Russ. You look a little different tonight, man.
I know. Look at this. So just so I can tell everybody, I've been having some technical difficulties the last couple shows, and so anytime I put my background up, it wonks me out. And Brad's on the road, so you just got to get used to seeing us a little different today, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. I like it. I look younger in this than this light.
I know you're down south, and because I saw the little ceiling fan had like palm trees on it. You're getting tan because you remember just a couple of weeks ago I thought you looked albino-ish.
Yes, correct.
So I'm glad that you're not looking albino-ish.
In fact, I'm sitting here looking at the Atlantic Ocean from my fourth floor hotel room right now. So
wow, what a show off you are.
Yeah, well, it's the off season, so it's cheap.
Oh. Have you been in the woods any, or have you just been working too much?
I've been working, but I worked through the woods yesterday or the other day. We were in, like I said, in a backwoods West Virginia road, putting some fiber in between a couple telephone poles for about 2 miles. And I brought it up to you where we're at, and you said there was actually reports from that area, and it was
a lot of reports from that area.
It was very, very squatchy, and trying to get out of there with no cell service. We're so reliant on cell phones these days that if you do not have GPS, it's like we are blind like little children. And so I literally put in the, I wanted to get out of there, and here's the closest town to the freeway. And literally there was an option that said, stay off 4x4 roads on my GPS in the truck.
Only in West Virginia, huh?
Right. And I thought I'd selected stay off 4x4 roads, and I must have had it backwards because it wanted to take me down some old private coal mine roads or something. And I had to do some backtracking and come off the mountain. And we finally made it out.
I haven't been out lately, so I'm living kind of vicariously through you. I'm hoping here in the next little while I'll get out in the woods more. I mean, I took Shade over to the doggy daycare today so that he could burn off some of his energy while I was taking care of some things. But
all right.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I know that you were telling me, we were talking about when you were in Florida, when you had your cruise running down there, that you saw a python.
Yep.
So have you ever handled exotic animals, handled large snakes, done any of that stuff?
My parents growing up, we always had, I don't know if you consider them exotic. We had ferrets and skunks, and whenever something would be crazy that groundhogs or whatever, my mom would always get a call, and she would end up raising them at some point. We had parrots, and my mom had this yellow-naped Amazon parrot that literally hated me. So it'd always tell me to scratch its head. So everybody would scratch its head, and it would bend its head over, and everybody'd scratch its head. But when I would do it, it'd bend its head over, then it would turn up and bite me. And I was just the only person that would do it to. But other than that, I was in running our cruise in Florida again. Florida is a kind of a peculiar state. So I remember we had put this cable down on the ground. It was in a parking lot. We coned it off. Everything was good. We left, and it was a little cold that night. I remember it was in the 50s. We come back the next morning, and there's an alligator laying on our cable. So there was 2 lakes. So we assumed that it was going from Lake A to Lake B and never made it.
Right.
Because it was a little too cold. The asphalt, the cable's black. So it was probably warmed up from the day. So it was laying on it. It was hot, or it was hopefully keeping it warm overnight. And I called the guy that was running us down there, the local guy, and I said, hey, man, I got a question for you. He's like, yeah, what's up? I said, man, I got an alligator laying on my cable this morning. What do I do? He says, well, I'll tell you what. He says, you can call wildlife. It's going to take them about 4 or 5 hours to get there. If you mess with the alligator, it's a $10,000 fine. I said, really? He says, yeah, that's what I said too. And I said, man, this sucks because I got work to do. He says, well, it's what we do. We just grab it because they're kind of cold, tape their mouth shut, walk it over to the other lake, cut the tape off, and throw it in. I was like, all right. So this thing was maybe only 3 foot long. It wasn't very big. So one of my guys grabbed it. We taped up its mouth. It wasn't moving very fast. And everybody got their picture with the alligator. We took it over to the other lake and cut the tape off and let it go, and it went out and got in the water. But, other than that, I haven't had a whole lot of experience with exotic animals. Have you?
When you said it, talking about the bird, I thought of two stories. When I used to own a kennel, we took care of this one lady had a African gray or whatever, and it would talk, and it would talk a lot. And so she was from Michigan. And so I would work hard on trying to get the bird to say Michigan sucks all the time. And so she would get so irritated with me. But another story, I had this patient that, man, he had, here in West Virginia, you have some people that have literally like not much of an accent. And then you have people that have very, very heavy accent. And I had this one patient named Rusty, and man, he had the heaviest West Virginia accent. And he had 7 of those African grays, and they all talked with this heavy West Virginia accent.
That would have to be hilarious to hear that.
Yeah.
That always, our question always leads into our first guest or our guest for the evening. So our guest this evening, we're going to bring him on, Larry Batson. He is an exotic animal guy. He has been on several shows, from I think the Tonight Show to there was a whole list, and I can see a macaw in the background right there next to you. So I see some aquariums probably filled with either tarantulas or snakes of some sort. So Larry, welcome to the show, and how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Okay. Larry, what's that bird? I mean, everybody wants to know. I can see it's like turquoise and yellow or something. Or
that is called a blue and gold macaw. It's from Central and South America.
Does it talk?
Oh yeah, that I hope it doesn't decide to do tonight. Sometimes it's kind of aggressive, a little naughty.
Oh, now something that. My mom had some parrots growing up. How long is that macaw going to live?
Long time. 25, 30, 40, or what's the wrong way? 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years.
Okay.
They live forever.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So if you don't like somebody and you give them one, you might have just made an enemy so quick that it would be unbelievable. Hey, we had this conversation earlier. Thank you. So, what? I'll get you. But this particular bird, he's pretty. Now, we had one years ago. It was a Maya bird, a little crow-like bird from India.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And somebody had one, and they were going on vacation. So they asked us if we'd take care of it. Said, yeah, sure, why not? And I know why now, because the first day we had it in our one bird room, young newspaper carrier walked in. The kid says, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" "Oh, just delivering these papers." "Oh, I'll be damned." So when we heard that, I thought that's probably just opening the vocabulary. So we moved it back to our restroom, and then it learned how to flush the toilet sound. That was pretty embarrassing.
Wow.
Well, yeah. He would sit up there by the cashier and whoosh. He'd get every gurgle. It was phenomenal.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know that, of course, I've been involved with Bigfoot for a long time, but I mean, aside from being on the Tonight Show and Merv Griffin and meeting all these movie stars and all these famous people, how many years ago was it that you started messing with Bigfoot?
Oh, 1976 or so. Yeah, 1976. And I've been doing this for 41 years.
So 41 years with the exotics?
With the Bigfoot.
With Bigfoot, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with the exotic animals, just a little bit longer than that. But I tell people, the only reason I do it is I'm interested in animals that live in the outdoors. And I've always told people, I said, if I ever saw a Bigfoot crawl off of a spaceship, I'm done. I'm not interested in any more. So I'm only interested in exotic animals. And to me, that's essentially what a Sasquatch is. So that'll fire some people up. But yeah, that's
You know,
Well,
I wanted. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
I mean, we agree with you. We don't believe that Sasquatch is related to UFOs. We don't believe it comes off spaceships. I don't believe, or at least I don't believe it's, there's theories out there that they're the workers of the aliens and all that stuff.
mhm.
I just think it's a primate. So anyway, go ahead.
It is. It's like a primate, but it's no monkey or ape.
That's what I was going to ask you, Larry. You have had baboons,
Oh yeah, I do
monkeys,
that.
orangutans.
Yeah.
And so, you're someone that has intimate experience with all these different primates. So you must have a unique position on what you think that Bigfoot might be.
Well, like as I said, it's not a monkey, it's not an ape, but it has capabilities that are even far above the apes. I mean, there are vocalizations, there are ways of figuring things out. They can, you walk in the woods with them, and you're just a big dump. You can't even go into the woods and when they're around. They're like geniuses of the trees. And in his bill and his camouflage shirt and his whatever else he drags in there, he doesn't have much of a chance per se at all because of these Sasquatches are so just flat smart. I mean, that's all you can say about it.
So what kind of changes have you seen since 1976? Do you feel like that we're any closer to it at all?
No, I don't, because we have all this time. People have been pursuing it since then. Nothing. Still the best thing that we have is the Roger Patterson Bob Dylan film. That's the number one thing. I mean, how many pictures do you see when you look at these sites? That's just blobs.
Well, even there's some very compelling video out there, but I just don't believe it. It's tough to believe. Like I said, I saw the other day, it was a trail cam and it was like of a leg, and somebody supposedly got it. And maybe there was a couple trail cam pics, and you kind of look at it and you say, well, with the technology that people have today, it's really, really easy to duplicate that and make that, to fake that. Where in 1967 and Roger Patterson was 67, Patterson Gimlin. The technology just wasn't there, and now using AI, I've seen that they actually brought out a more stable version of the Patterson Gimlin film, and it's amazing. So,
yes, it is. I mean, it's. Tell you the truth, when I first started messing with this, I was surprised that there wasn't something more discovered since then. In fact, I did a show with John Green. And in Cleveland, Ohio, where we actually built an 8-foot tall Sasquatch model, a beautiful display set up, all these different animals and information about them. And as I'm doing this display and putting this exhibit together and gathering knowledge from signs and that sort of thing, I said, there's somebody's going to find one while I'm doing this. And I'm going to be really upset about it because whatever they discover won't look anything like my 8-foot model. All that work is gone.
Right.
So that's exactly what I decided. And I had so many people come in and want to tell me things that they found out about them. Some pretty good people. Paul Johnson up there in Pennsylvania. He came up to one of the sports shows in Pennsylvania at Gilligan. And it mesmerized me. It's exactly what it did.
So, is there a favorite report? Are you still taking reports, Larry?
Yeah, if they're interesting.
Yeah. So, what have you taken anything recently that you liked that was interesting?
Well, there was one report from about I don't know, it's a mile from my house. Because I live out in the middle of the woods, and this farm is about a mile from here, And what the story was is that Dad took his son and a friend of his son deer hunting in this patch of woods. So we decided that he was going to take his son and a friend of his son back in that woods, and they were going to go squirrel hunting. They weren't even thinking about Bigfoot. Well, they get back in the woods, and what happened was Dad was on one ridge, his son was on another ridge, and his friend of his son was in another ridge, and they both had very good angles to go squirrel hunting. Myself and I've never thought of why would one go squirrel hunting? It'd be cheaper just to buy a chicken because you don't get a lot of meat on it. Hold on. Now, I've had this talk with you. Yeah, I had this talk with you earlier, and you promised me you were going to be quiet. And guess how long that's lasted? Not very long. I don't know. Look what I did. I jammed up your lock. So, when the Bigfoot, I spent a lot of time in those woods, and I never come across anything valuable. But I'm not going to call somebody a liar. Just like I said, there's no good photographs.
Right.
Well, these Sasquatch people are not photographers. They're usually guys who do this, what we would call an interesting hobby. And
Well, and the thing about that too is, have you ever had a sighting yourself?
Very quick and not anything that I'd write a paper about.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing is, I've had two that were like that. One was driving down the road, look over and you see something. The second one, it crossed in front of me, and stuff happens so fast. There's no way anybody can get a phone out of their pocket, get it up, hit it, it just doesn't happen. They don't hang around that much. So
I figure the average sighting is anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the road and gone.
Yep, absolutely. And it's probably more likely to have a road crossing sighting in the woods as you are walking through the woods looking for them. So
yeah.
Do you feel like there's any more? I know you and I had talked before that both of us encounter people that are doing fake reports or hoaxing or whatever. Does that seem to be more common now or less common?
I think it's about the same, to tell you the truth. And I keep waiting. I'll watch the Facebook. I'll watch some of those podcasts, and I can usually watch a podcast for about 10 minutes, and I realize, well, this is. I'll never get this hour back. So that's it. But it's people cannot comprehend that you're talking about what has to be on the ground one of the fastest moving animals.
correct.
I mean, they're through the forest as fast as they want to. If they just want to just cruise around through the, they can do that. But to actually attempt, I always laugh. There was a guy up in Pennsylvania named Sam Sherry, and he claimed that he had built a trap to catch a Bigfoot. Well, he was in his 70s, and everybody was pretty convinced that he was not all there. And
Right.
he had a snare trap he used. He didn't ever use it, but he had all these different ideas, but of course none of them turned into anything. If somebody brings in a Bigfoot with photographs and video, that's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
It's worth $1 million.
Well, the problem with that is everybody's going to question unless you have the video, cut its arm off, and bring it with you.
Yeah.
They're still going to question you if it's what you say it is.
Yeah. Oh, they will. In fact, that's why John Green told me. He said, Larry, he says, the only way we're going to prove all this is we're going to have to kill one.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm not really into that, so that's not my department.
About 3 years ago, Larry, I had a brief sighting, I believe, for about maybe 3 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't very far from me, maybe 35, 40 yards, maybe a little farther. But I thought when I glanced that it was a person. And, since that time, I've carried a GoPro all the time because I just felt like that if I could get 3 or 4 seconds of high quality, close video, that even though the naysayers would say whatever they're going to say, that it would still be compelling, to a lot of people. But since then, I've never had anything happen close to me, that mattered.
Yeah. Well, that's another one of the problems with all of this. How long was the mountain gorilla up in the Congo? Scientists kept saying, or scientists were told by the people that live there, that we have this hairy man that lives up there. And no. But sure enough, one day one of those tribes went up there to check it out. Guess what? They found a gorilla, and they've proven that they do exist. So it just the whole thing makes it interesting. It's a hard debate. I mean, I've told people, I said, just get a book. I'll recommend a book for you. Read the book cover to cover, and have a positive view as you do that. And I think your whole perception will change entirely.
What book would you recommend?
Legends Meet Science, Bender and Hall's book. What was the other? Bender Nagel's book.
Yeah,
that's a strong one too. There's a lot of them that just aren't worth the
paper that they're written on.
Yeah. And there's so many now, it's ridiculous. Every time I looked down there, I said, "Who's that guy? Where did that expert come from?"
Right. Yeah. It's funny being in the field. You've been in it for 40 years. I've been in it for 16. Russ has been in it for how long? You've been
around
probably
15 years.
I was gonna say close to that. And there are people that I see them that some expert from Ohio, and I'm like, I've been in Ohio my whole life, and I've been to all the places, and I talk to a lot of people in Ohio, and I have no idea who this person is. Yeah. So it seems like those people show up all the time.
Yeah, they come out of the woodwork. It's funny. And all of a sudden, there's these experts that you've never heard of.
Right.
Self-publishing changed it all. It used to be that, like when I did my first book, it was hard to get a publisher. You had to really work and, hope that you produced a good product. And, now people don't need to, make an effort. Sometimes when I get their books too, they're very short. The font's large. They put a lot of pictures in it. And it's really a large magazine article and not really a book. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what people call books are, mostly just Bigfoot stories, but they haven't proposed any theories or beliefs or whatever that they think it might happen to be. But
just like a lot of times, Russ, with podcasts, stories sell because people want to hear about that experience, and hopefully someone's going to have that experience that is literally going to be it's going to be changing. A lot of these people don't want to get out from behind their computer screen. So if that person had an experience that's terrifying, maybe I can vicariously live through them, just like I live through you all the time when you're going out in the woods, because I don't get a chance to do that. So, the same with these books is, they'll go online and either make up stories or rip stories off of websites and just put them in a book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's
So let me ask you another question. I'm sure I want to come back to the Bigfoot thing, but you have done, I'm going to ask, I don't even know. I know that you take these animals to schools. Are we talking thousands of visits to schools, or what are we talking about?
Well, in the old days, I do 200 to 300 schools a year during the season. 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day. Now, since I've been afflicted with this Parkinson's, it's cut down a bunch. In fact, I'm kind of semi-retired from that because I just don't feel like to be able to do that anymore.
I'm sure COVID changed it too.
Oh, that's what it all hit because it just wiped it out. So I come up with some Facebook pages on animals, Bigfoot, you name it. And we did okay with the donations. Nothing like we did with the school program. That's for sure. So
Now you went into all types of schools, I would assume, elementary, middle, high school, or what type did you stick with a certain age group?
whoever would want to see us.
Okay. So you went out. I can imagine you probably have some pretty interesting stories.
Oh, yeah, there's quite a few. We
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, we take a big python with us, and I always get one of the students to help me with it, and that's kind of funny. And we were down in Kentucky, and kid looks inside of the box, and he sees a snake, and I told him it'll be all right. I'm trying to make him feel better. And then I said, "What do you think?" And he said it loud enough that everybody in that gymnasium could probably hear him. He goes, "Oh shit!" Now this was like a second grader,
Right?
So, and then there was a time I had a young man that was going to do it, and then he decided not to do it, and they always get expletive. Where did they hear that? So or the famous time that python tails goes down their back and comes up between their legs. And now some of those guys, I know, will say, "Wow, I'm impressed." So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I could write a book on that alone, because it's been so many times that we have had an incident where kids are funny. I mean,
kids will say anything. They have no filter.
No, none. And I have one little thing I'll say to them. Say if I got a big snake with us, we need 3 or 4 volunteers. I'll put a 6th grader on the end. Well, sometimes these big male 6th graders are not as brave as you think they are. So I go up there to put it on his neck and down the line. And one 6th grader says, "Mister, I really don't want to touch that. I really don't." I said, "It'll be all right. Just stand there and hold your arms up like this." I really don't want to touch it. I don't really want to do that. I said, "I'll tell you what. If you don't touch this, I'm going to call up on the first grader girl, and I'm going to pick them for the volunteer. I'm going to have you go sit down." He said, "You know what that would be like?" I said, "I know it. Ruined your entire elementary school career." And he was petrified then.
Now in today's age and time, that would be considered bullying, and they would probably have you removed from the school of some sort, or this kid would have to have psychological counseling to do that to him.
Oh
no. But I'm just saying, in today's world, kids are soft.
They are.
Yeah.
And they don't.
They're getting softer. So, but that's a whole nother show.
Larry, how many animals do you have presently?
I've got tiger, baboons, white silver fox, a African serval cat, reptiles. Got lots of reptiles, snakes, and so forth. Badgers. I've cut down so much because of my health. But
so, are these animals available to the public if they stop by your place and pay their $5 and they can walk around and see them? Or okay?
Yeah, we don't do that.
Okay.
We've had a lot of requests for that, but no, I'm not interested in that.
I would assume feeding tigers and badgers and all these things is fairly expensive.
It is.
Is that something? Do you take donations for that, or? Huh?
We do take donations.
Okay.
Yeah, we have people that send us either meat or send us meat or checks. Which I
sure.
heard.
Did you say $1,100 a week?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
$1,100 a week.
Yeah, when I had to kind of semi-retire, I wouldn't be showing them the true me if I just dumped them all, gave them all away, and just moved on. I still have a lot of these animals, and it makes me very sad to think I might have to find another home for them, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Is there one type of animal in particular or one reptile that you'd say, oh my gosh, I would never have that again, ever, no matter how much people liked it?
I can't really. Crocodile, maybe, because I couldn't really use it for any shows because of their aggression. But I'll try anything. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. I'll try.
What's the most that you've ever gotten injured?
Oh, I was in intensive care for 3 days in St. Louis, Missouri, when I was bitten by a 6.5 foot timber rattlesnake.
Oh,
So
wow.
That kind of put things in a kilter for a week. And that was a fun show because I've done it several times. We'd actually built a desert inside of these sports halls, these different arenas, rock and cactus, sand, and you stand around it, and I'd make like a fake snake hunt. What we would go through for that, and it did really well. I mean, we had huge crowds for it, and we not only had rattlesnakes we'd catch in this desert, but tarantulas, Gila monsters, bull snakes. People loved it. It was phenomenal.
So you would go into an arena, basketball or something like that, and you said you would create a fake-ish
desert
inside of there.
Yeah.
And then people would come in and watch, and you would do your animal show with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a wireless microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about a crowd? What about a crowd favorite? Is there anything in particular that people like the most?
They all want to see if I get bit. They're all waiting around for that. When's that guy coming back? When's that show again? We have standing room only for it, and it was incredible. And I was always very proud of that show. We did it in St. Louis, in Kansas City, Indianapolis, Syracuse, New York. We took it to quite a few different places. And the beauty of it all was it was a fake desert. Everything was built by myself, but we'd have special boxes inside on these rocks. So essentially, when I would walk up to the different dens, I'd have this long snake hook that I'd poke down in the den, which was all it was doing was sliding a door back. And I would catch whatever it may be, diamondback, Gila monster, regular harmless snake, and people really liked it.
Now, I thought a lot of this stuff happens, and they because snakes really don't want to bite you because their venom is so valuable to them. So, I've heard that people would like kind of milk the snake before they have these shows. So really, if it did bite, A, it doesn't want to bite because it really doesn't. It knows it doesn't have the venom. But B, it's if it did bit you, it doesn't have the venom to kind of do anything.
Well, mine was loaded up. I mean,
you didn't do that, okay?
No. I would think that would be. Man.
That would be, they wouldn't get their money's worth if you did that. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying it's not real.
Okay. All right. Because a snake, I would assume a snake acts different if it's venom upped or it's not. So.
Well, I had, when I was bitten in St. Louis, I had sent to me from Florida a 7-foot eastern diamondback.
Okay.
And I decided that I was going to use that for these shows I had coming up in St. Louis. Its head was the size of your hand.
Wow.
It was massive. Well, I also had with me timber rattlesnake that I used, and it kept trying to bite me, and it was coming really close. Excuse me. And excuse me twice. And I realized then that the guys in the shoe department were taking bets on what show I was going to get bid.
Okay.
So my guy with me, he said, why don't you just use that big rattlesnake? We'll put that one up. Okay, whatever. So I was bagging him up. I had a trailer with me that you could stand up. I was bagging him up. I had the bag over my hand, hung down, and I got him in the bag, getting ready to close the door. And all of a sudden, I looked down. I see that head go over the lip of that bag. Well, as soon as I saw that, I said, "Wow, this is interesting." So what I did, I just took the flat of my hand and I boom, and bounced him back in the sack. Well, it didn't take a second. He was up out of that bag again, and he bit me in the hand. So I got to the mall office, and I say, "I've had a little accident." "Well, what kind of accident?" I said, "I had was bitten by one of the rattlesnakes." "Oh." I said, "If you don't mind, we're going to go down to the hospital. Just check me out, and I'll be back for the night shift." That was the plan. So I'd appreciate if you didn't tell anybody. Well, we arrived at the hospital, and there was a whole squadron of medical people and waiting for me. And I found out that the mall had actually called them, and they knew I was heading their way. Well, I was in intensive care for 3 days. I was in the hospital for a week, and it was probably the most, it was one of the most intense experiences. I bet I saw 50 doctors that week that just would come into my room and look at my injuries. And I thought, man, I must be the medical project this week here.
So
That
so
was,
at that bite location, did that skin, I've seen some bites, online or whatever, and it kind of kills that starts killing the skin around it. And
right.
is that, that wound just kind of gets bigger and bigger? And
My arm was 10 inches. It started swelling. It was 10 inches at the wrist, larger.
Oh.
And he cut me right in the palm of the hand. And one gal come up to me and she says, with a clipboard, and she said, well, what's your favorite? What's your religion? She was taking Carson by demise. And I said, ma'am, I'm not going to die. In fact, I can plan on going back to the mall tonight. And those doctors all started laughing. They thought that was hilarious. And I ended up standing there for 3 days, and the joy of this.
Now, was it just a intense pain, or did they just have you on so many meds you couldn't really?
Oh, no. There was a lot of intense pain. There's several procedures that they did. One of the first procedures was my hand, which is basically the toughest skin on your body, the palm.
Right.
And they had me on a gurney in the emergency room, and the guy said, hold him down. I thought, oh, what's this going to be all about? And he lanced my palm of my hand, and that's the only time I cursed, I think, in the week I was there. And I said, you were lying, my gosh. And so that one, if you ever had your blood pressure taken in the leg, that's very uncomfortable. Shots all the time. I mean, they did 24 hours a day. Someone would be in my room poking me, and they didn't know anything about snake bite. That's the bad part about it. They knew nothing about it. So basically, it was like a cookbook they were looking at.
So did they? I mean, I would assume that there was, anti-venom, or I'm sure most hospitals don't have that in stock because it's very, very expensive, I would assume.
Yeah, it is. And
so would they have to, did they order some in for you and say, hey, here's some anti-venom, but really it's been in your body too long. It took us too long to get it. So, well, it's kind of worthless, or, do you still have to go through that procedure?
I had to go through the whole bit. And
okay.
They didn't care about my discomfort too much.
No, I don't think so either.
They were. So, it was. All the doctors had never seen this before, so I was just a constant flow of people come in and look at me.
Well, I can imagine you couldn't even probably sleep for a week, right?
Right. It was. It was bad.
I mean, hospitals are bad enough. So,
Well, yeah, I can't say anything bad about what I've been through the last 2.5, 3 years, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's and then I found out they'd given me enough antivenom for an elephant, so that's why I wasn't too perky. So,
well, I don't have any idea what the side effects of antivenom would be, but
swelling,
okay, all right. So
hives too.
oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, I had to ride back to Indianapolis in a pickup truck in the back with goats, and it gave me so much antivenom that literally 100% of my body broke out in the hives. So off from Indianapolis to St. Louis, or St. Louis to Indianapolis.
Okay.
Well, it was miserable.
Well, that's what is that? About a 3-hour ride, I think.
Yep.
Something like that, about 3 hours. So.
Yes, it is.
So you've been on, Merv Griffin,
Johnny Carson,
Johnny Carson, all that. I mean, Johnny Carson, he's a legend. How did you get started in doing that kind of stuff? Did you just have animals and?
Well, I was doing the shows, and then Jim Fowler from Beach of Omaha's Wild Kingdom was in Indiana, and somebody given me my name, and he called me up. He says, "Are you interested in coming to Los Angeles with me and take some animals on Johnny Carson, Regis filming?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Because to me, this was a great contact. So we drove up to South Bend, and in fact, I have to say on that particular time, I don't know what that was.
Your bird's throwing stuff at you.
That was pretty wacky.
Yeah, your bird's there you go. These wacky animals.
Oh, you're trying to get your bird?
Yeah, he's trying to throw.
He's knocking pictures off the wall.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, no, I don't want excruciating pain right now.
You want me to get the bird?
No, you don't have to get it.
Sorry.
Now we need the dog. I'm really sorry.
I'm sorry. Get one.
In case our listeners are wondering, that's the bird in the background.
Yeah,
he doesn't like us doing the podcast in here.
Yeah, this is the first time we have with him in here. Come up here.
Well, I don't think he likes it.
Yeah, clearly he doesn't like it, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Larry, so let me ask you, Brad, did you have a question? Were you in the middle of a question? I got
he was going to these shows. Now, you didn't take your own animals, or did you just like borrow animals from the San Diego Zoo or something, or did you take your own animals?
I took my own because my animals were used to doing things for the public.
Gotcha.
And a lot of zoos don't have animals like that. They can, especially oddball animals.
Okay.
And Jim knew that if I had a chance to get something real interesting, that I'd be the guy to call, and we'd take it to California. We took a hyena, badger.
So how did you get a hyena to California?
Oh, just like they ship any animal, wooden crate and an airplane.
Okay, all right.
It was given to us. Yeah, it was given to us by the zoo in New Mexico. So we'd do jobs for them, and we'd always ask them. We'd say, "Hey, do you have any surplus animals?" "Well, we might have this." "Yeah, that'll be good." Okay. And they'd send us animals. So it was pretty cool.
So you got to be known, my mom was kind of that way, where if anybody would, move a shed and there's a family of skunks or groundhogs or something under it, they'd call her to come get them and nurse them back to health or whatever. So was that you? You were that guy?
No. I would like rescue some of them, but as far as like a little groundhog or something.
Well, I meant like, more exotic animal. If they had an exotic animal to get rid of, you were the guy that they would call.
Yeah, I was. I could hopefully help them.
Okay. Help them out.
Yeah. See how that would go. But,
okay.
Yeah. So we got a lot of animals. Okay. Really a good source.
So, what's your favorite animal?
I like bears. I I like most of your monkeys, your macaques, Celebes black ape. We had the Celebes black ape that was on the Tonight Show with Johnny that smacked Johnny right in the mouth during the segment. And it's all over YouTube.
I was going to say, if I would have known, I could have pulled it up on YouTube. And what was it? What kind of ape was it?
Celebes ape or black ape.
Maybe just say ape hits Johnny Carson in the mouth or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
While he's looking that up, Larry, I want to ask you, because I don't want to let you off here without asking this, because you've been around a long time and then Bigfoot a long time. I know you've, maybe recently taken a step back from that because of your health or whatnot. But is there anything that, if you had a chance to, you had money, you had resources, you had youth again, what would you suggest to the listeners in terms of doing something to try to get some Bigfoot evidence?
Well, all the evidence is good, whether they're looking for pictures or looking for tracks. All that's good, but it's not going to just happen. You got to be one of the luckiest people in the world, because all the Bigfoot sightings we've had around this area, I know they don't talk too much about it. You find out about it after the sighting, or they don't come forward too easily. That's what I've discovered. Some of them do, but most of them not.
I think a lot of people don't realize too, when you talk about a Jane Goodall or something like that, which she said publicly that she finds that there's so many reports that she thinks that might be a realistic thing for Bigfoot to exist, but a lot of people don't realize that although there's hundreds of thousands of the chimps that she was after, she didn't even get within eyesight for 6 months.
Yeah,
and we're talking about something that would clearly be more intelligent than that and is more wily and clearly in smaller numbers. So I'm not sure that people recognize how big of an ask it is.
Oh, it's monumental. Like the chimps, the mountain gorillas. There's so many animals that took a long time to find them.
Yeah.
And especially to capture them, prove of their existence. So, we have to do things a little different.
Yeah. Did you have any luck finding it, Brad?
No, I did not.
While he's looking on, Larry, how about if you tell the people how that they can get? I know that you're always looking for support. $1,100 a week is a lot to feed animals. So how is it that people can reach out and find your stuff?
They can reach out through PayPal and L Batson, BATTSON @peoplepc.com.
Okay, and I know you have a Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook, Larry Batson or Larry the Animal Guy and Friends. Either one of those sites will find us.
The only one I found was Jim Fowler. What's his name?
Yeah.
He had an ape that hit Johnny twice.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your ape?
That is solid black in color.
Yep, that's your with red shorts on.
That's him.
Yep.
Can you show it?
Yeah, let me see here. I'm getting to the right spot.
This has been seen unbelievable amount of times. You are in so much trouble.
Let me see here.
And what will happen after we click this computer off? You will not make a noise.
Yeah, there's probably some electronic thing that is irritating her or him or.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, there you go.
I think it already hit him.
No,
There it goes, right there. So this ape is. So this is your animal.
Yeah.
All right, and who's oh, there he got him. Got him again.
That'll be good. Yeah, they're from the Sulawesi Island. That's how these things are. It's the only place in the world they're found. And
Gotcha.
They are the animal that Darwin used for his theories on evolution.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
he did a lot of study of some of these black apes.
Okay. All right.
Well, Larry, listen, we really appreciate your time. We wish you the best in your health, that you'll have continued health to be able to do the things that you enjoy and bring so much happiness like you do to everyone.
That's awful nice to say. Appreciate you asking me.
Yeah, and I'm sure the people learned a lot, and maybe some of the viewers will reach out and help support your cause.
That would be
Right.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks,
you.
Larry.
Thank you.
All right. That was interesting, Russ.
Wow, I don't know that my nerves can take it anymore, man. I mean, I feel like the last little while here I've been, a little on edge, maybe a little impatient, and
Right.
wow.
I have a parrot story that I'm not even going to repeat. I will tell you next time I see you in private, but it's not one for the air because it would embarrass somebody in my family.
Really, man. I mean, that bird wouldn't have been alive long if I would have been there.
Like
I mean, and I'm kind to all animals, but and then I thought that it was, I was getting used to the squawking every 6 seconds, but then when it started screaming, the blood curdling scream that could be heard clear across the jungles of the Amazon.
Right.
It was a lot.
Well, that's all right.
It
That
was a
just
lot.
shows you the patience that man has with animals, and it does take a kind soul to, I believe, to put up with animals. Like I said, we had to put our dog down a couple of weeks ago, and we got a new puppy. And man, I tell you what, these things just
Yeah, they take a lot
they
of time
try
and effort.
they try your nerves. I'll tell you that.
Well, he probably doesn't even hear. Like he probably didn't pay attention to it.
Right? Yeah, he's just been around it so long. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like that, I guess, with some things, but wow,
Right.
that was a lot for me today. So,
yeah, yep.
I'm going to be traumatized and may not be able to see patients tomorrow.
Well, you'll be all right.
All right.
I know you'll be okay.
All right. So like and subscribe, thebigfootdoc.com.
Wide open research. Wide open research on Instagram.
Yes.
Wide open research at gmail.com. Reach out either on the website or through the email.
TikTok.
We'd love to hear your stories. Russ is on TikTok. I am not. Yeah. And everybody knows, if you've heard any episode whatsoever, you understand I don't like the Chinese government knowing what I'm doing every day, but Russ doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't really care. They can come to West Virginia and find me.
Right.
All right, so it's good to see you, my friend. Until the next time, hopefully I'll have some of my bugs worked out here. And so I gotta say.
Hopefully I'll be back in the dungeon at the house and I won't be traveling. So,
all right, peace on earth.
Later.
Good to see you.